Hey, Tarosphere, it's Holly from Cape Cod Creatures, and I am here to discuss something near and dear, only because so it's not really tarot related, but I suppose it is Hay House related, which makes it kind of tarot territory. Oh, and the chat box should be up, so if you guys have anything you want to say or whatever, go ahead and do it in the chitty chat box. But okay, so Hay House has decided to turn their sights towards pet care, which to me is really weird. I mean, they've always kind of had their foot in the holistic and health and healing and like energy health and healing and diet and all that kind of stuff going on, which is fine. But they recently turned their sights on pet food, and I just got an email from an affiliate of theirs about flea and tick treatment. And for those that don't know, I actually own a dog boutique. I have a dog shop. It's how I make my bread and butter. It's I actually probably drain it. Hey Cosmic, how are you? How have you been? So I kind of, like my store is what keeps my tarot hobby going. And I am very passionate about the care of dogs and cats and birds and all the animals that we choose to take stewardship of. And I don't know why, but I've been really irked about Hay House kind of poking their nose where it don't belong. Is that kind of weird? So anyway, they sent out a bunch of emails that were like, "Is your pet's food giving your pet cancer?" Which, oh, God, it's such a double-edged sword for me. I love that people are starting to think about what they're putting in their pets' mouths in a more critical way. I hate that they're doing it in such a nutty way, if that makes any sense. So, March was interesting. Oh my God, March was super interesting. Yeah, so it was like one of those like, oh my God, sign up to see if your pet's food is giving you cancer. And then they've just been bombarding me with emails because I'm going to read anything about pets. And the gist of that original food email was kibble bad, other food, like raw food, good. And that is not, that's like a super simplistic way of boiling it down. There's a lot of stuff wrong in the pet food industry with kibble. There are a handful of really good companies that you can buy kibble from that are doing like super clean sourcing and yada yada. But the way this email was leaning was go ahead and buy raw or make your dog's food. Those two things I have an issue with. One, there are some really great raw food companies that you can buy your dog's food from. I highly recommend Primal and Stella and Chewy's to start. And then there are a handful of new up-and-comers in there that are like maybe yes, maybe no. I haven't quite decided. Also, frozen is better than freeze-dried. Freshpet, but then you have companies like Freshpet that like to prey upon people that think they're doing the right thing by feeding their dog food that comes from a cold case. Freshpet is actually refrigerated food. So any food that's been refrigerated, you want to stay away from because it's not going to stay fresh in a refrigerator for very long. And Freshpet has a notoriously high sodium content to keep their food from going bad. And they don't even list it on their label. And when you call to ask about it, they give you the runaround. So that's a food I would stay away from. Anything that comes in, unless you're buying a frozen grind from Primal or Stella and Chewy's, Almost Pride is another really good one. Stay away from that. But raw food also comes with, raw food comes with this whole host of other issues, which includes safe food handling, keeping an eye on the ingredient sourcing from the company that you're buying it from. And then also, like I can't even stress the safe food handling. It's safe food handling, sourcing, and safe food handling from start to finish. So, yeah, I mean, so here's the thing. There's, yeah, so cats are another thing. Like, don't get all wonky and decide that you're going to try and feed your cat vegetarian or vegan. That's really bad. But, so yeah, with the safe food handling is a really big important thing with raw. Like it can only be thawed for a certain amount of days. You have to thoroughly wash any and all surfaces that the food touches, including pet bowls. Like, so unless you have a different, like 2 or 3 pet bowls for your pet, like for each day, like, like most people only have 1 or 2 food bowls for their animals and they rinse them out, that's fine. But unless you have several bowls for your animal, not something I would recommend as far as just everyday people living their everyday lives. Canned food, I'm not a huge fan of canned food. Canned food is really, for most animals should not be eating canned food. It's loaded with preservatives and other chemicals, including BPAs. And then the sourcing, usually most factories that make canned food in the US, there's only like 3 or 4 factories that make it. For the amount of brands that there are out there, they're all private labeled. And it's only a handful of people actually making the food. And it's debatable how clean and separate the sourcing is for all the ingredients. Which is why you see, like, when a company like Wellness gets a recall, like 48 other companies have a recall of a similar product at the same time. So I don't like canned food for that reason. And most people are feeding canned food as like a little, like, you know, appetizer, like a palatant is what they call it in my industry, something to make their food extra tasty to get the dog to eat it. And there's other things you can do to do that. Kibbles are huge. So the other thing I wanted to touch on, what Hay House recommends, is that we take our dogs' diets into our own hands and make their food, which in theory good, but 90% of us don't know how to fucking feed ourselves. So, I mean, like, we can't even handle feeding ourselves healthfully. What makes us think that without the proper training as dog nutritionists, we know how to feed our own animals? You know, you got to really do the research. Dogs are carnivorous omnivores. So they're not obligate carnivores. They do need a higher protein and fat ratio than we need, but they also need like the veggies and minerals and stuff. Like, they need like the vitamins and minerals and stuff that come from things like leafy greens and berries, and occasional like carbohydrate supplement. Like, I usually say sweet potato or Japanese ham is a good one. Starchy potato, sometimes not so great. But yeah, I mean, like, if you look at, like, there's, you know, obesity is a huge epidemic in America. Like, do you really trust, like, look at me. I'm super, like, I know how to feed a dog correctly. I default to feeding myself ding dongs and ho-hos all the time. Like, I can't even. So without proper veterinary training or close monitoring by your vet, I don't recommend making your dog's food. So if you have any questions about food, what I suggest you do is head down to your local store, not a PetSmart or a Petco. They're just there to sell you food, and it doesn't matter what they sell you. They just want to sell you. Head down to like a local feed and grain, somewhere that specializes in the smaller brand but super healthy foods, and really talk to your local professional about it. I mean, like, I'm glad that Hay House is drawing attention to, like, hey, maybe Blue Buffalo is not the best food for your dog because it's full of bullshit and preservatives. That's awesome. I hate that they're making people think that they can do it on their own without the proper research. I mean, like, really, if you are going to feed your dog at home properly, you need to get comfortable with the fact that your dog needs whole prey, which means that you're going to take a whole chicken, and you're going to take, and you need a really good meat grinder, because you're going to grind not only the muscle meat, but also organ and bone and cartilage into that, because your dog needs it. And then also you have to get comfortable with the fact that your dog needs expensive produce, like kale and blueberries and blackberries and sweet potato, and it's like high quality produce. You can't just buy frozen veg. I just, you know, I just hate to, like, their wheelhouse is Oracle cards and good feels. Stay out of the pet industry. And then the other thing that I was sent from them was an email about flea and tick preventative. So here's the deal with flea and tick preventative, you guys. Dogs get fleas and ticks and lice and worms, and it's horrible. Unfortunately, the only really good way to prevent those things is with a veterinary recommended, and I'm super, like, you ask your vet for it, like a good vet, not a charlatan vet, like a good vet. You know, veterinary recommended flea, tick, and worm preventative. You can try to go the holistic route, but I have always been, and I've never pretended to be anything else but an East meets West kind of gal. So if you want to use diatomaceous earth to keep the fleas down in your yard, that's great. But you decide that you're not going to treat your dog with a flea or tick preventative, guess what? your dog is going to get fleas. And honestly, you have to kind of weigh the dangers of flea and tick preventative versus trying to go about it the natural way. Essential oils, I don't recommend for pets at all. I know the essential oil thing is like super huge in our you know, holistic and our tarot community right now. Like, it's like doTERRA is catching fire. I don't know why. Don't recommend you sign up for it. It's a pyramid scheme. If you want to buy the oils for personal use, great. Don't expect to make an income from it. But yeah, like, those are actually really harmful for pets, and a lot of people don't know what they're doing, and they're super duper harmful for cats, which is why I say always get a veterinary recommended flea and tick preventative, and tell your vet whether or not you're using it on a dog or a cat, and whether or not you have both dogs and cats, because some of those over-the-counter things that you can get contain citric acids or citric oils, and a lot of cats can have really bad adverse effects to those. So yeah, it is a hot topic. So yeah, just don't go for, if you can buy it at the grocery store, probably don't put it on your pet. I also don't recommend getting your flea and tick preventative from a site like Amazon, and that is going to shoot some of you right through the heart. But unfortunately, Amazon, there's a lot of like your Frontline, your Seresto collars, and your Advantix and Advantage. There's a lot of bootleg on Amazon as far as those products are concerned. A friend of mine his mom just bought him a Seresto collar from Amazon. His dog has been using the Seresto collar here successfully for years. She, Miss Uma, she's adorable. She's a pity. I love her so much. She put on this new Seresto that was purchased for him through Amazon, and she immediately broke out into hives. So, and he wound up calling up Bear, because that's who makes it. And it turns out there is a huge investigation going on right now for bootleg products coming through Amazon. So you want to buy any of that product. I actually have a friend in veterinary, so I have a handful of Serestos here, and that's the only reason I have them, because I got them from a licensed veterinarian. Those sizes weren't selling, so I said I would give it a try. But you always want to get your flea and tick medication from a veterinarian, and you always want to, like, unless your pet has an actual reaction to an actual veterinary purchased flea and tick med, you always want to use it when it's flea and tick season, because fleas and ticks carry, you got to weigh the pros and cons game here. There are way more bad things that can happen to your pet through a flea or a tick than can happen to your dog through that medicine. And you can actually, there are ways to stretch it and doctor it and supplement. Yeah, you want to stick, like I said, the ones that I would recommend would be Seresto collar. You want to try to use the Advantix or Advantage, work really well in my area right now, and Frontline is still pretty good. So those are the 4 that I would recommend. And then you want to follow the directions and 100% ask your vet. But I mean, like, the email was like, oh, you can treat your pet with vinegar, and then you can use diatomaceous earth in your yard, and that's all you really need, and that's great. But when your cat has anemia because you didn't treat your entire house, because you didn't treat your entire household of animals, like, you have to. Like, I hate to break it to you guys, but there's no, I mean, there's really no natural, like 100% natural. Oh, and they also recommended essential oils. Again, no on pets. No essential oils for pets. I cannot drill this into our heads more than, like, I cannot possibly drill it into our heads any more than I possibly can drill it in. But if you have any kind of pet, dogs, cats, birds especially, there should be no essential oils in your home. Although, spoiler alert, I do have a small handful of essential oils. I do not diffuse them. You 100% should not be diffusing anything. You should not be cleaning with these things. And then I use them to dress candles and ritual, and they stay in a very specific room where my animals are not really allowed to kind of muck around in. So really, like, even then, I mean, I'm contemplating getting rid of all the essential oils that I own, just because they're so bad for pets. But anyway, now that I've gotten that out of my system, I'm super glad that Hay House as a company is starting to draw people's attention more towards the holistic care of animals, which I 100% believe can help, but without bringing, there's a reason that Western medicine has developed, like especially Western veterinary medicine. It's very veterinary medicine is very progressive, even in areas where human medicine is not. So there is a reason that that medicine is developed, because some of the stuff doesn't, some of the Eastern stuff doesn't work. So maybe stick with some of it, and you can mix the two. But yeah, I cannot. I don't know. I was just so frustrated, and like I can't even when I saw it. So one of Hay House's affiliates, Carice, was suggesting to use essential oils to get rid of fleas and ticks, which is no. And with fleas especially, that's how your animals get tapeworm, which is a huge health hazard. It can spread from animals to you, and it can spread from zoonotic tapeworm, can spread from animals to you in really nasty ways. And then, lice is another one they can pick up in the, like, if you use just diatomaceous earth to get rid of whatever, like, your animal can go, so like your animal isn't going to stick to your yard. You take your pet everywhere with you. Like, you can get all sorts of nasty buggalies from your pets. And we love our pets, and we don't want our pets to have the buggalies. So please just have a really open and honest conversation with your vet about it. And your vet will steer you right, especially if you have a good one. I am very fortunate to have a handful of really good holistic vets in the area and a really good traditional Western medicine vet also, who actually really respects the holistic vets. So you have to do a little research and find a combination of what's going to work for you. But in the meantime, if you have any questions about this, you guys too, again, it's my industry. I know a whole lot about it. I don't usually talk about it on my channel, but if you want, I am more than happy to answer any questions. You can put them in the comments. You can ask them in chat. You can email them to me. It's capecodcreatures@outlook.com. I even have a forum.tarosphere.net. You can ask the questions in the open chat portion. I will always, it might take me a bit, but I will always answer a question about an animal. I can't help myself. Can't help myself. So yeah, it's just, don't substitute holistic, like the Hay House, like lovey, like, cancer can be solved with carrots. Like, just please, for the love of your animals and all that is holy, please talk to people that know what they're actually talking about. And I'm not pretending that I know everything, but I know enough to tell you what Hay House is pumping out right now is 100% pseudo blah blah blah. Like, it needs if they had gotten like Dr. Karen Becker on board with them, or if they had any sort of veterinary person talking about alternative flea and tick treatments, that would be one thing, but they don't. They have a handful of half-assed studies from really sketchy journals, and that's about it. So anyway, if you have any questions about how to properly feed your animal, what food brands that are out there right now that I recommend, what food brands you want to stay away from, if you have a question about what you're currently feeding your dog, that's great. If you have any questions about flea or tick treatment that's out there right now, I'm 100% happy to answer that for you. Again, just put it in the comments below, or you can put it in the open chat section of my forum, which I've linked to below as well. And anyway, I just really needed to speak out about this, you guys. Just common sense where your animals are concerned, because we love them. We love the shit out of our pets, and they deserve the best, and they deserve for us to do more research than just read an email or see some peas and carrots on a box and just be like, yep. So anyway, that is how I feel about Hay House getting into the pet industry. I will talk to you guys later. I'm going to go before a customer walks in because I'm at work right now, actually. All right, I'll see you guys later. Bye.